very good evening from KPR Institute of Engineering and Technology. We, on behalf of Center for Technology Innovation and Excellence of KPR IET, looking for today's panel discussion, Series 2 on National Education Policy 2020. I welcome Professor Dr. S. Ramachandran, Head, Department Chemical Engineering, and Professor Dr. S. Vairam, Control of Examination from Department of Chemistry, and Dr. D. Ganesh Kumar, HOD, Department of Biomedical Engineering, on behalf to have a panel discussion on the avenues of National Education Policy 2020. And I request the honorable professors to give their opening remarks and subsequently continue the discussion. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And see, the National Education Policy 2020 is a hot topic of discussion today. And it's not the start of the national education policy in the country. It's a sequel to what has already happened in terms of education policy 1986 and then subsequently modified in 1992. And then it has been recently given a fillip, it has been given a new form to take into account the various current day's requirements. The first question that arises is, why should we have a new policy? What is wrong with the policy that was existing? Now, the policy which has been in vogue since independence has served the country well. Today, we are a very large country providing technical manpower to the entire world. Not only that, today, many of the large companies abroad are headed by Indians who are a product of this system, education policy. But then why should we go ahead and change it? Yes, it is necessary to change because a lot of things have changed around us. See, even this recent COVID-19. See, I've been teaching for the past 20 years. You'll find the last 6 months my teaching has undergone a total change. So similarly, the pace with which the technology is advancing, the pace with which the population is growing, the pace with which the aspirations of the people are building up, obviously we have got to address all these things on a new platform and a new format. That's the reason why the country has thought it fit to go for a new education policy. And I should say that one of the very illustrious sons of India, who has been the chief of ISRO and later a member of the Rajya Sabha, Dr. Kasturi was entrusted with the responsibility of framing a draft, and this has undergone several changes and it has been finally adapted in its present form. It addresses holistically the entire gambit of education in India, and this is how it has come into vogue right now. Now, more of it we will discuss as we go along.
Thank you, sir. Sir, your notes on.
So, National Education Policy 2020, it is very much required, and in my view, I think it is a dream coming policy. If whatever is given in the policy, if it is implemented, it is very good. It will definitely increase the quality of our nation in the global level. And at present, what are the drawbacks in the present situation, present scenario of education? Normally, whatever is given in some format in the national education policy, it is all present in the present system also, but in a scattered manner, not in a regulated manner. That is one thing. They wanted to regulate it. They want to reform it. And another point, when you see the students' quality, in our present education, There is no connection between the marks scored and skill. Who is getting more than 80%, he is not skilled person. Okay, so that is not correct also. That is revealed. And another point, many good students who are in rural areas, they don't have good access to good education. There is no institute, proper institute, and the institutes are teaching in their own language, local language. So those students are having a good caliber because of his societal background, poor background, he is unable to get a good quality education. So that is also addressed in this education. Similarly, proper autonomy is not given to institute or teacher. That is also there. Then less emphasis is given to research. They are doing research. To what extent they are doing good research? That is questionable. Okay. So central government is looking that also. And suboptimal governance, proper governance is not there. And resulting low standard. Many universities are giving degree with the low standard. So in order to overcome these drawbacks, this national policy was taken up. Actually, first national policy was introduced in 1968, as it was said, in Indira Gandhi period. Before that, Kothari Commission, they drafted one policy. That was the first one. After that, in Rajiv Gandhi period, it was modified. Then Narasimha Rao period, PM period, and that was again modified. Now, under the helm of Kasturi Rangan, they formed a committee. They studied very well. They have interview. They had interview with many people, and now they have given a good draft. So actually, draft-wise, if it is seen, it's a very good policy. And they are mainly addressing quality, affordability, equity, access, and accountability. This is the thing. So the requirement is for implementing this one.
Well said, sir. Thank you. Sir, you are
As stated firmly by two experts, this national educational policy is required its updation after 3 decades of its previous version. With directly or indirectly, we are forced for the online education forum in this COVID-19 period. So we shall observe all the students forum are interested in this digital learning. We require a policy is not to be a simple crowd. It is to be addressed for the entire nation. For this, the formation of this national education policy is most welcome. And also, government has benchmarked certain things. They are going to integrate, as Professor told, the scattered objective of the previous policy to the single forum. And also, their primary aim was to get a gross enrollment ratio during 2030 or during 2035 to be 50% to 100% across all the states or all the parts of India. And also, they have the clear aim that during 2040, our education policy should be the prime policy across the globe. So they expect that standardization. That is to be the first. Every policy of trust of youth should be the second one. Like that, they have certain aim. This document addresses different needs of the education sector, school education sector, and the higher education sector. In higher education also, how the B.Ed degree to be, vocational degree to be, how the professional degree to be, and they have certain parts they have addressed how the law education, medical education to be, at what portion agriculture part to be there in all the from the school education to the higher education, and some of the healthcare component is to be addressed. Like that, with a clear focus in mind. This policy has been drafted and it has reached its present version. And it is to be, it has been elaborately discussed across the nation. And we are so privileged to discuss this policy from our point of view. And at this junction, with an expertise from this group having 2 decades or 3 decades or 4 decades experience in higher education system, we shall discuss the higher education part thoroughly. And the replication of school education is essentially higher education. And as Professor said, there is a gap between the marks secured and the skill of a student. If this thing is fulfilled, a greater human resource will be created in India, and also we can serve better to our nation, and in fact, without losing our traditional culture, because this policy addresses certain part of traditional cultures of India, and also it has covered different faculty development program, concentrating the faculty into the teaching learning process only, by having not concentrated to other parts of thing as we are observing in higher education, and also providing the public fund to the research, student growth, as Professor said, to the rural students. That is, this policy makes the education is the claim the right to every student of the country. So it has many highlights. We shall discuss further with this opening remark.
Okay.
I need to add one more point. It's the contribution from the industry. Industry academic gap bridging is also given more insistence.
No, that's one area which I find has to be addressed a little more than what it is being done now. The big industrial houses, what will be their role? How will they contribute to higher education, especially, is something which in my opinion, should have found a larger component in the system. But then, even though this policy has been, at least the framework has been done before the advent of COVID-19, there is a very separate topic and what way the technology, the education technology, the technology should be utilized for higher education and school education has been very elaborately dealt in this policy. That's something very great, because this is something which you cannot avoid it, and especially in a country of 130 crore population, if we have to reach, as Professor said, to the nook and corner of this country, obviously only technology can do it, digital technology only can do it, and that has been very nicely addressed in this policy. Even though our immediate attention will be on higher education. In fact, we get our inputs from the school education. So obviously, school education makes an impact, and it in a way you can say they supply the raw material to us for us to process and make them into final products. Of course, I don't want to treat human beings as inanimate subjects. But if you look at school education, see this, of course, the basic restructuring, all of us are aware, from 10 plus 2, it has been changed to 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. That's fine. I mean, you are adding some more years, 2 more years of education is being added, and you are starting
Flexibilities.
from the age of 3 itself, you are starting the education. And very important thing that is being addressed is the flexibility of the education, and there is no hard demarcations between the various subjects. You have the flexibility of choosing your subject. You have the flexibility of choosing your language. And one essential feature which I like very much personally is that the 3-language formula is being adopted. And in the 3-language formula, no language is being imposed on anyone. And choice, see, but what they say is you read 3 languages, 2 of them should be native languages of the country. And the first 5 to 6 years, your education should be in that language, not simply a subject. Now today, in many cases, you can, without even knowing the local language, you can pass out from school. You can but here it's not going to be possible. If you're going to be in a particular state, you've got to read the language, and you will have to read the subjects in that language. The medium of instruction will be the local language, and there is a good justification also is given. See, because there are some objections from some quarters saying that you are loading the students, like you are giving three languages and it's going to be a load on the students. No, it's not true. The research shows that between the age of 2 and 6, the rate at which we pick up the language is the highest. So obviously, if you put the language into the mind of the people, a multilingual capability is a cognitive ability of the student. So obviously, wherever he goes, even within the country, wherever he wants to go, I think he will be able to. It opens up a new era of new world for him in terms of culture, in terms of knowledge, in terms of almost everything. Because knowing another language is absolutely great. In fact, I remember when I was with the Steel Authority of India, we joined about 20 people together, and out of the 20 people, you'll find we had almost 1 or 2 persons from each state. So our group, even today, we have a reunion where in the reunion you find every culture represented there, from Jammu and Kashmir to Tamil Nadu. It's so good, and this country is a country which values this heritage very high. Another important thing is that we have still the remnants of the British legacy in our school system, which means that we will have to make it more Indianized, because we study more about the history of Europe than the history of Sera, Cholas and Pandyas. Right? So that's the kind of knowledge that's being introduced. I'm talking about school education. So obviously these are some of the great points in this. And another important point, not only for higher education, not only for school education, for higher education also, there's enough emphasis given on training of the teachers. Because teachers are going to be the essential component of the entire system. And unless the teacher is trained and he is extremely professional, he will not be able to create a good student, or he will not be able to create that kind of an ambience in the class where we can transfer knowledge. So let it be higher education, let it be school education, I think a lot of emphasis is being given on the training of teachers, which I feel is one of the essential ingredients of this policy.
And as Professor narrated, that this policy would definitely enhance the cognitive ability of a student from childhood itself. And also, the bilingual will improve their knowledge in learning, or knowledge in thrust areas, and knowledge in ability building, etc. And probably that very precise point is that empowering teachers of the nation has been facilitated across the government. Their training, their assessment, their evaluation, and their qualification, etc. And the fund is to be utilized for building the teachers of this nation in this document. And most probably, when we build the teachers of higher education sector, the skilled professionals could be created, and they will definitely in turn strengthen the nation, and it will support the economy. And they have stated a few lines for socio-economic disadvantaged groups to support them. They have introduced SEDs, they have introduced some funds grabbing their attention to this education, etc. They have tried. So all these parts are most welcome things in building a good education across the nation.
Positive points in school education, from the starting itself, government is taking care of children. Preschooling is, even now it is present, but privately it is done. And now government is taking, and they are taking care of health also by giving some breakfast and all food and all.
Thus far, it was only midday meal. Now breakfast is included.
Breakfast
It's going to be breakfast and
But what is the fund? Where is the fund?
no.
So much fund is required.
Fund is required. That's why the last point in implementation, 6% of the GDP. 6% of the GDP.
Will it be sufficient?
No, 6% of the GDP is a large volume. You should be able to allocate 6% of the GDP for the educational expenditure, and all the states and centers, all the states and the central government have to work in unison to get this kind of expenditure that is going towards education. This expenditure is for building infrastructure, for training teachers, for recruiting teachers, for payment of teachers, everybody. But then, Professor, he asked a question about the industry institute, and I made a mention that it's not that well addressed. What is your opinion? Are you
No, they have not addressed anything about the industry institute relationship.
And one more,
But in an implied manner, they have encouraged research. They have formed all institutions. They have to do research intense institutions. They are classified. Teaching intense institutions like that, and they are going to give fund for research. Once the research is properly done, naturally industry
has to plunge.
automatically come. That will definitely come.
And in some of the places, they have indicated that top 30 university of the globe will be made with the survey, and they will be given some chance for some exchange programs
faculty
also.
exchange, student
Faculty
exchange.
internationalization is a point which has been
Internationalization. So in our traditional education system, and even we have the chance of Indian universities to serve better the abroad premises also. And how we would reflect in our system. In our system means the present system is governed with the Indian universities, Indian institutions, etc. When we prioritize the topmost universities for the exchange programs in our country, in what way would we address
They are not
reflecting our educational
No,
policies?
it will be a big opportunity. If you look at it as a threat, yes, it is. But then it is a very big opportunity for Indian scholars, Indian teachers, Indian students to get an international exposure without having to travel to the US or without having to travel to the advanced nations. You get that same kind of education in India, and the education cost of education in India is much lower than those countries. It's a very big opportunity.
And one way they talk about uniform policies across the world. Private, separate, and other things, government, even whatever the institutions may be. One point, key point. This is uniform policy for all institutions.
That is, when it comes to regulation of the institutes, they will find that the private and the public institutes will be treated on par. That's with respect to our institutes.
Top institutions they have not defined.
Yes.
But anyhow, it is a basic need to build the digital infrastructure of the nation from all the latitude and longitude.
Yes.
Because this is technology advances society, and the years after 2 decades, that is 2040, definitely we are going to have very good digital infrastructure, and investment from the government sector is also welcome thing. As Professor noticed, where will be the resource for awarding funds for building this digital infrastructure? Nourishment of all the parts of this education.
See, a country like this, if you allocate 6% of your GDP, you will be able to meet this.
So,
No, we
That's
have
one
other
thing. And
expenses also.
private participation is a must. Without private participation, it's
CSR,
not possible.
corporate social.
You talked about the digital infrastructure. I'll just read out, okay, the salient point from this. Pilot studies for online education, digital infrastructure, online teaching platform and tools, current content creation and digital repository and dissemination, digital divide. By digital divide they mean there are some sections of the society who do not have the access to the digital
SDG.
world. That virtual laboratories, training and incentives for teachers, online assessment and exams, blended models of learning, and laying down standards. I mean, this is what the use of technology, and they have defined or they have already earmarked these areas as the core areas where the digital the technology used in education will come in.
If it is a
They have,
centralized
it seems they have formed a National Education Technology Forum, and it is going to carry these points. That is new technology, introduction of new technology,
Yes.
artificial intelligence, blockchain, and machine learning,
Yes.
forwards, etc., etc. So there is a provision for it, but how?
If it is made available to every citizen of India only, we can go for the common admission procedure of what they have listed in higher education thing.
Yes.
Otherwise, if a state is strongly supporting or building digital infrastructure, if another state is not doing, and how come this common admission procedures or common standards of education could be implemented across all the country?
On the field implementation is something which is going to take a lot of time, and it's going to take a lot of effort from people like us to ensure that this policy becomes a practice. So this is a policy document, and as on today we are discussing the policy document, and implementation will have to be done the initiative of all the stakeholders like the government, central government, the union, the state governments, as well as the public institutions. And
Now it is the phase that till 30th there was the date for giving suggestion by stakeholders online through innovate.gov.in.
Okay.
Might be some consolidations on the.
True, that is because obviously they have to take this is a country of, it's a quadrilateral, 3,000 kilometers this way and this way. So obviously such a country of diverse states, multiple languages and aspirations, local and regional. See, all these things will have to be taken into consideration. Otherwise the policy will not go through unless you are able to make the policy totally inclusive and serves the entire nation. But as I see, a sincere attempt in that direction has been made in this policy, so that
Very conscious.
it covers the entire population of the country. And talking about research, there is a National Research Foundation which is going to be set up. And National Research Foundation that's what is going to guide as well as finance the research activities. Yes. And in fact, all the current financing like AICT is financing, DST is financing, DBT is financing, Ministry of Environment and Forests are financing. All these activities, all these funding agencies also I think will be regulated through the foundation.
Become a single agency.
It will become a
And
single
they are
agency.
going to sanction projects on merit-based, equitable, peer-reviewing research funding. That is a very interesting thing. But there is a question. That means viable projects are not given properly now. That is a question. Though, they are addressing the
No, see,
And professional degree for Bachelor of Education also. This policy supports for 4 years course. Already it was 4
that is
years.
another important thing.
Then it has become 2 years course. For past 3 years it has become 2 years course. Now this policy enforces or supports for 4 years of teachers course after
And
their
even higher education institutions can provide.
Multi-exit system they are saying.
multidisciplinary system is also there.
Yeah, multidisciplinary is must.
Choice
You
based
cannot have only
flexibility.
one degree, you should have engineering, arts, then liberal arts we are also having now. But it is not regulated manner. But it will become a must at that time. And multiple exit system is a very advantageous system. If one completes 1 year means we will be given certificate, 2 years diploma, 3 years degree, 4th year,
Research.
4 years degree with the research. So that will kindle the interest of students definitely research.
Inclusion.
Good students, merit students will definitely go for research. Nowadays people, students of good caliber, they are not going for research.
Research.
Another disadvantage in our country, they straight away go to some industry.
Even
and they are working.
post-graduation enrollment is less.
That should be.
And since the courseware is going to be made in common repositories, if they are in multiple Excel system, there they can prepare the sites, and when they enter into the course again, they can excellently pursue their
You mean,
But one problem is
credit bank.
credit bank,
Credit
transfer,
Credit bank. In the credit bank, you have one unique ID. Every one of us will have an ID. So whatever we have already done will be there as a credit, and then you keep on adding to it as you enroll and come out. So that kind of portability is, that kind of flexibility is not there in the current system. So that will be extremely useful. And another important aspect I saw in this policy was, the importance given to vocational education.
Oh, occasional. It's very
That's been
important
addressed.
point.
Vocational education is, as the statistics being made out in the policy, they say only 5% of the students go for vocational education, because very interesting statement is made there saying that the reason this is so low is because there's a perceived complex about vocational education, that it is inferior to a mainstream education.
It's lost its charm.
No,
It go.
Actually, as Professor said,
I never had one in the to start with itself, because even when I was in school, there was something called an engineering course, engineering lab and all that will be there, but nobody went there. Only very few people will. Few students will opt for. Even today, occasionally you are given very less number of seats which are given in vocational counseling and all that. That this policy envisages that 50% of the students should go for vocational schooling.
everybody.
And some
Because we need to create more of
Skill.
people.
Skill.
After 8th standard, they are going to study vocational.
Yeah.
And in higher education also, they have to select vocational subject, etc.
Yeah.
And as Professor said, one who is studying vocationally is supposed to be inferior to other academic.
There is a perception.
Yeah.
To be
No,
able
that is actually felt by everybody.
As you-
GD Institute is there, it is purely vocational, and people are not going there.
Yes, sir.
You see the students who are studying, all are socially
Sir,
backward
that situation-
students. That
but
means
who
it
are
is not-
pursuing there,
Yeah, he has,
100% skill to match with.
Yes, very
Some
good
issue,
institute.
Sir, that situation is currently changing. Today, if you find the daily salaries of a technician, well qualified, well skilled
Skill.
technician like a carpenter or a welder or a tailor or a nurse is equivalent to an engineer.
Professional.
Like, is it not? So
Without having formal education, they have
the skill. See, so a time will come when automatically people will move from this domain to that domain. So
As a
When I
professor was telling.
studied, when I studied school, we were compelled to do vocational. We had weaving, we had carpentry, and it is a must. There was mark for it at that time, and that is coming like this.
Yes.
But up to only 6th standard.
As you told, sir, the deprivation of skill only with professional thing is the lack of vocational part that's been added as mandate to the education. That's very well taken care.
And in assessment and evaluation also, there are certain guidelines out there, and for that practical sessions, how it is going to be assessed and evaluated. And in present days education, we do some evaluation according to the group of students in common. But when this policy is implemented, the assessment will be to the core. A real assessment will be evolved. And this will definitely fetch the competency of the learners. They will self-motivated learners, and they will assess, they will attain their skills regularly, and they will be assessed.
And one more point we highlight in this draft is inclusion fund. Transgenders are given opportunity in separate fund for like it.
And
Guidelines is given.
They have given some guidelines for adult education. Also.
Adult education.
Lifelong learning is part of the policy.
So when we go for 2040, will this required for that much of concentration for adult education? When it is earmarked for 2040?
That adult education, that term adult education is a little, old-fashioned. We love to call it as lifelong learning.
Lifelong learning.
Lifelong learning. Today, it may be an acceptable terminology because many of our adults are not that literate. See, even that literacy definition in school, we'll come back to school education. See, today, whom do we call as literate? A person who is able to read his name, a person who is able to sign his name is considered to be a literate person. But he will not be able to do anything other than that. Most of the people whom we consider as literate are falling in this category. Now, they say that in the school education, the first point they say is that enhancing this numerical abilities. See, the person should be able to go to a bank and draw money. He should be able to count the currencies if he has, and count the currency and find out how much of money he has been given. Isn't it? He should be able to do simple mathematics and arithmetics for carrying out his day-to-day jobs. Like a street vendor should be able to have that basic. See, many of our vegetable vendors, they do not even know how much money they are giving, how much money they have to get back, etc. But they may be called illiterate because they are able to read their. So that kind of calculation is not that kind of identification.
There is an act.
Arivoli Yekam before 20 years back, 25 years back.
Everybody.
The Right to Education Act
is joined for adult education. And I think it has thrown some light on that part also, as it is not to be a simply signature making education, it is to be a knowing buses, knowing currency, knowing banking, like that. Even,
Technology training.
knowing to operate the smartphones, etc.
Correct.
Yes.
One of the main aims of this NEP 2020 is right to education to all, up to 12th standard.
In this.
No, it is only 6th up to 6th standard. It is going to be revised. They are going to amend it.
So as you told, sir, it is very attractive that we don't have any school dropouts, rather be college dropouts.
No, school dropouts, the gross enrollment ratio is in two categories. One gross enrollment ratio is from one level of school to the next level of school and then to the final level of school. See, that is aimed at 100%. What is being aimed at 50% is the gross enrollment ratio from school education to higher education, from 26.3% to 50%. But I am told that Tamil Nadu has already a gross enrollment ratio of 50% in this one. So Tamil Nadu
get 80%.
No. Tamil Nadu should aim for 75%. No point in trying to stay with. I'm talking about, if my information is right, they say it's already 50%. So how does this policy is going to help you to
80,
to shift your goalpost from 50% to 70%.
And also, sir, they have given that thing. If it is made in local languages, definitely I think this gross enrollment ratio will be more.
Will be increased.
Will increase.
And people will also be, students will also be coming in a good manner, educated. Once he understands the subject in his own language, then language should not be a barrier to education. So definitely he will be coming better. All noble laureates are coming
In their native language.
And there is one institute, Sir Vallabhbhai Patel School in Delhi. They are having such system even now.
Sir, even in some outskirts of
studying
Pollachi, we have native language school runs. They are successful models near
But
Pollachi.
More than
the problem is to going to higher standard.
Gandhigram school are more than 50 years.
Yes.
They are getting good admission than English medium schools, and they are providing students for professional courses. There are many renowned students.
But the problem is preparation of material at higher.
Content creation.
But they are giving some provision for it.
That is where
By that time it will be prepared.
research foundation will
Sixth
address
standard,
this.
it will be.
But then we have to ensure that there is a change of mindset in the people and the parents to get themselves educated in their own language, and then willingness to do higher education and technical education in their own language. That requires the development of textbooks. And I don't know whether we have that kind of facilities available. So, for example, if I want a good chemical engineering textbook in any subject in Tamil, hardly anything.
Earlier, NPTEL was YM, and these courses were in vernacular languages.
But it has been started just only. Just only, not
But
before.
definitely after 20 years, 30 years, we will be having
Yes.
such type of education, no doubt in it.
And possibly with technology, as you've been having a doubt of whether you'll be able to get the contents, definitely if you have a content in maybe English language, converting it equivalent in very good
The
Hindi languages,
translation,
that
there's a
makes
use of technology for translation
Translation.
itself. Is
Definitely.
Being, is being
it's
It is one
achievable.
of the key area of this policy.
It's achievable,
This,
sir.
advent of technology and introducing the technology in all sectors is a key area of this policy. Sir, shall we consider like this, if this policy is implemented nationwide in a standardized manner, all the school education system will be common. There are different school education system, different medium, CBSE, international system.
So all will be coming in one umbrella, controlled by NCERT. They are going to have this.
There will be an umbrella unit for providing guidelines.
Sir, if it is there, state.
But
all
they will not be
syllabus-
able to. They will not be able to do total control of the system, because that may not work out in this kind of very
Diversified language system.
in this kind of dimensionally huge country. It may not work out. But then
In managing,
But knowledge wise, I think they would be compatible in all the states of students or of different systems of education. Now we segregate matriculation, CBSE, etc., and the frameworks are different, their variants are different, their evaluation of summative assessment, formative assessment, like that. If it is equally made, that system of education is also equal, assessment is also equal, the choice is with a common language or native language, if it is there. The knowledge compatibility across all the students would be common.
so
across the
this is
nation.
key. Only then if it is provided, you have flexibility.
Yes.
The movement will be flexible. Moving from one to another, that will be flexible.
And the policy also talks about a common regulating agency for higher education. Now, maybe today we have multiple agencies to regulate higher education. There will be only one agency, and they have been given four verticals. They are given four verticals, and each vertical has got one response. They are given four verticals in that and each one will have their own unit. So obviously, it will be
Single
easier
approach.
for people who are implementing at the grassroots level. It will be easier for us to deal with one agency. For example, if there is going to be a single accreditation, there's a meta accreditation agency. That's what it is being the National Accreditation Council, NAC.
NSE.
NAC.
Different levels.
If there's one council, then first let it be IIT, let it be IIM, let it be our college.
Why these steps for a single?
There's going to be a single method of evaluation. So obviously we are all brought onto the same plane. So obviously we have an opportunity to compete and show ourselves that we are equal to many of the top institutions in the country.
Very nice. Sir, as a controller of exam, what would be the positive things to be implemented in the evaluation or assessment process? Sir? How it is now, how it should be, or how it will be?
Actually, the present system, I think it is good, but it is not properly followed. That is the problem. Key should be properly designed, properly given by the expert. And as per the key, if you correct it, then automatically students should be, once result has come, then this is the pattern they have followed, many have failed like that. Then automatically students will come and come to understand this is the situation, we have to read like that. And one more point, very specifically question should be asked. Very vague manner they are asking. Specific questions should be there. Specific points should be there.
Supplementing what you said, See, key comes a little later. First is a question paper itself. The question paper should be promoting conceptual understanding rather than, encourage, memorizing and writing.
Reproducing what he has said.
Reproducing. So obviously, if you are going to ask, like, today we are thinking of GATE exam as one of the examinations where we want to take the questions from because it promotes conceptual understanding. So teaching, then question paper should be aligned with the
Higher standard,
For
higher standards.
descriptive type topics, if you take, then simply they are writing something and they are giving mark depending upon the number of pages he has written. Like that they are doing. There should be some abstract points, there should be abstract points. And they have to follow that points. Not like that they are not doing. So key should be important only to descriptive topics rather than mathematical topics. Key preparation for mathematical topics are easy. Preparation is very easy. But for vague topics, say Constitution of India or something like ethics, the problem is setting the question paper, key preparation is not properly done. This system is good only when it is properly adapted. Adapted.
Is it necessary to interface industries from the school level itself, sir?
It will be useful. Some kind of introductory, as an introductory thing, I think it can be useful.
With local.
But there are limitations, like you cannot expose a student of that age directly
To understand these processes.
So you can educate them about the process, what goes on inside the industry, what are the industry practices, so that kind of and interaction by the industry personnel into the schools. I mean, like in the form of guest lectures, visits, etc. All these things can be done, but giving it on-the-job training, etc., not at that age, in my opinion.
Industrial visits kind of things can be encouraging.
We have in our schools we have done industrial visits, but then it's only seeing from a distance. But then for an engineering student, it should not be like that. For an engineering student, it should be an internship where he should be given a project, he should be made to work and operate an equipment. I think it will take a lot of time for the industry also to come to terms with this kind of requirement, because this is where I don't know whether this policy has fully taken into the requirement of this requirement, because we have a large higher education system, engineering colleges, large number of engineering colleges in all our states. So obviously all these students will have to go through this area or this process. For that, unless we have full cooperation from the participation rather than cooperation, participation from the industry, I think it will be difficult to come by. But I am sure that it will definitely work out in that direction.
So, in my opinion, as a concluding remark, if the system is common and chance opportunity is common, skill and competency will also be common.
Definitely.
This
See,
NEP is addressing that. So it provides the admission procedure through evaluation. It tends to implement some commonness across the country. If it is really adopted, as Professor said, it would be definitely competency developing among our human resources. This is my concluding
As I said, it is a dream coming true policy. If it is properly implemented, that will be definitely.
the intentions of the policies are extremely good. In fact, if you know, India, when more than half the world was hunting and gathering, India was a country which was having international universities. Like Nalanda, where we had international students, we had international teachers. And today, possibly we have lost that exalted position. So we have to reach back that exalted position.
Definitely.
And we hope that the NEP 2020 will help us in that direction.
So thanks from Center for Technology Innovation and Excellence, and thanks for the phase 2 of the panel discussion. Thank you, Professor.